Hello and welcome to this latest video in which I'm talking to you today about warming up in regard to playing the clarinet. This is a time which is vital to any practice session you undertake. So just as, for example, a sportsman will need to do stretches in order to be able to do their sport to the best of their ability, we too need to get in the right zone for our own learning to make our practice as effective as possible. So we have various elements we need to consider when we're warming up. So to be very brief about this, we need to think about our posture, how we're standing, how we're holding our head, the angle at which the clarinet enters the mouth, the embouchure, the purpose of it, which is to allow the reed to vibrate. We mustn't hinder that, we just have to facilitate that. It can be very often that we get too tight here. We have to consider our arm position and our fingers, and there'll be a separate video covering that topic. One of the first things then we need to consider is the breath, the speed of it and the way it resonates in the instrument. So I would suggest as a starting point, long notes. This can sound terribly boring, but you need to make it as exciting as possible and to revel and enjoy the density of the sound you are producing. So make sure you take a deep breath right down to the bottom of your lungs. That's not physically accurate, but have that image in your mind as you breathe in. You're taking the air right down here. Weight evenly distributed on both feet, and just allow that breath to flow through the instrument. But the sound, imagine this starting already in your head. Feel there is a freedom in the sound. For beginners who don't have that much breath capacity, you might just try and hold that on for the count of 5 seconds. Increase it to 10 seconds. And don't allow there to be any wobbles in the sound whatsoever. What I mean by wobbles would be this, for example. What you're aiming for is an absolutely still, controlled sound. Within that, you may start to practice the process of forming a crescendo, which of course means to get louder. There are so many different ways you can take this. You begin as soft as possible, get as loud as possible, but within a controlled environment. So personally, I always use a metronome. A metronome is a vital piece of equipment to your learning, whether it's digital on a phone, for example, or you have a specific mechanical tick-tock machine with you. It gives you a framework to put your playing into. As you progress and you have greater breath capacity, I would suggest that you take a look at the book Clarinet Fundamentals by Rainer Weiler. This is written exquisitely in the English translation from the German, and it is exciting to read about how to play long notes. But one very good exercise takes a crotchet speed, I think it's of crotchet equals 50, dotted minims, 3 of them tied together, taking the lowest note of the instrument, a semitone up, returning to the original note, as thus. You'll notice there's some flexibility in the way I move and that the sound has a slight decrease in the tension and then an increase as you approach the next note. So the idea is you try and level up those sounds. You then take an interval higher. All the way up to an octave, always returning to the bottom E, trying to even out the sound tonally and thinking also of the intonation. You can then progress onto a separate exercise which takes triplets using 2 notes, but you have a different breath control for each beginning of each triplet. So you start to differentiate tonally between one note and another, as this. No way should it ever sound. Maybe you can hear the difference. It takes a little bit of practice to be able to achieve that. But the idea of your warm-up is to totally zone in on the tiny aspects, the minutiae of your playing, and start to think and to listen to what you're doing and to react and be aware fundamentally of your airflow and the effect that that has on the sound you are producing. Good luck.